Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Living in Two Worlds. And tonight is Thursday, June 27th. And we're here watching a live stream show that's coming directly from Facebook. And we're coming from the Living in Two Worlds fan page. And your hosts tonight are Ortrun Carl Franklin, and myself. And I have to tell you, I've been waiting for this show for a couple of days. Couldn't wait, because we're talking about something that I just love, and that is our spiritual family. And so one of the things that I'd like to do before we get started, and that is to like and share the show, if you would please. And I invite you to join me to do that. I really do appreciate everybody being here with us. But one of the things that we know for sure is that, when we run across a post, a video, anything that helps us in our spiritual growth, our soul's journey here, right? It's almost like doing community service as a light worker, is that we want to share it out. If it's helpful to you, it's going to be helpful to someone else. And you know how social media goes. We're inundated with so much information that it's easy for something to get buried. If you've ever tried to go back to find something that you've read or seen, and you can't find it because there's so much stuff there. And so it's a good thing. It's a good thing to share something that you find valuable to your spiritual growth, right? And so I am going to find our live stream on my phone. Oops, got to be on the right page. That would help. And let's see. Facebook changed some things, and so sometimes it's a little hard to find exactly where it is, but I found it. And so I'm going to I'm going to love it, because I really love this topic. I'm going to love it, and I'm going to share it out. And while I do that, I'm going to bring on my co-hosts, Ortrun and Carl Franklin, and they're going to come on. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Welcome, everyone that's here.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. And so I'm going to turn it over to the two of you while I share it out, our show, and then I'll be right back. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So I think Carl's going to start tonight, right?
Yeah, I would like to.
Maybe first of all, we should thank everyone for being here. Let's do that first. First of all, thanks for everyone that joined us on this live program, and also those that are going to be tuning in later on to the archives. We appreciate you so much, and we love you so much, and we are very grateful and thankful that we are able to share things with you, and hope that the things that we share with you are meaningful to you. And if they are, please pass that on to individuals so that we can actually draw more and more into this community. So thanks everyone for being here.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. We literally live in two worlds. And I'm going to say, in my experience, the vast majority of people are not aware of that. They're only aware of what they perceive through their five senses. The population of the earth is about 7.6 billion people. But the number of spirit beings that live on the world, on the planet here with us, would number in the trillions. And it is my belief, and with experience to back it up, that all of creation is based on a foundation of spirit. Everything that is physical has a spirit component to it. And to back that up, the quantum physicists in quantum mechanics, they have now found that literally everything in the universe has consciousness. The physicists tell us that the universe is made out of energy, and the quantum physicists are now telling us it wasn't just energy, it was in fact conscious energy. And for those of you that have read my book, Earth's Ascension, Nibiru, and the Spirit Realm, the book begins with this the story, or let me say a story of creation. And a part of that story is that what science refers to as the Big Bang, which is where the energy that the universe is made up of begins to expand very rapidly and is still. What they do not know what caused the expansion to begin or what caused the Big Bang. But in the book, I put forth the theory or the thought that what caused the Big Bang was when the creator of the universe impregnated his consciousness into all of the energy out of which the universe is made. So we live in a universe that a part of which is material that we're familiar with, but that material is always shaped and formed on a basis of spirit. And in the world here, what we have trillions of, we call them divas. And you can also call them nature fairies. There are air divas, there are water divas, there are different types of divas that work with different types of plants. There are divas that work with different types of animals. And the organs in our body all have divas that work with them. Divas are at the lowest end of the angelic spectrum. And their growth is they can grow and become angels. But in that process, they're learning to understand all types of energy, because a diva can be upgraded from a lower life form to a higher life form. And if we want to work in harmony with nature powerfully, work with the divas. And there's a story in of the book about taming, if you will, greatly minimizing one of the most powerful hurricanes that that's been recorded in our lifetime. And by working with the air divas. And Jesus worked with the divas in multiplying food, in quieting a storm, in raising the dead, and in almost everything he did, it was his soul that he was one with, working with the divas of nature, and they were more than willing to do what he asked them to do. And you and I have that same ability. And Jesus said, everything that I can do, you can do an even greater. And he said, do you not know that you are God? And a part of being a God and exercising all that he did, one of the requirements is that we be in touch with and work hand in hand with the nature divas. Okay? So our soul is an aspect of the creator, and it is a much greater aspect than the divas are. And that is a part of what the meaning behind the story of creation in the Bible, where it says, and God created man in his own image and likeness. It's the only part in the Bible that I'm aware of where God repeats himself. Man is created in the image and likeness of God. In his image and likeness, God created them. Okay? And to become more fully divine and express that, we can't do it alone. We have to become one with our soul, and with our soul, we connect with the divas. All right? So understand that everything that exists has a spirit component that you can communicate with. And you can use words. It's more effective to use images or pictures. And what you picture is what it is you want them to do or become. Okay? So Neshi, that's the foundation. Now go ahead.
Now jump in there, right? Yeah, what we were talking about tonight, the topic was our spiritual family, right? And I think we call them by many names. Spiritual family, your spiritual team, those in the unseen that help us every moment of every day. And I think that as I was sharing out the show many times over this past week, I've had some comments that many in our community here at Star Nations that has shared with me. And some of the comments were they didn't even know who their spiritual team or their spiritual family was. And some people felt like they didn't have any really strong connection to them because they never hear them, they never see them. Although they do talk to them, that they don't feel like that they get a response back. All the way to the other side of the spectrum, which is that we have people who are very well connected to their spiritual families and that they communicate with them on an ongoing basis. And they feel that they feel the assistance every day and everything in between. And so I was thinking that when we talk about our spiritual family, maybe it's a good idea that we actually kind of describe them. I'm not sure if there's a tried and true kind of definition that fits them across the board because they're different for everybody. I mean, I know that we have certain realms that are on our spiritual family in our committee, in our team, but they're also assigned to us. They're just as unique to us as we are because we have a very unique vibration signature in the universe. And so the Creator, Spirit, God, has selected certain ones for us, for them to help us. Some of them have been with us from the very first time of our soul's inception, since our soul was conceived, have been with us from the very beginning. And others have been added to our spiritual family as we begin to grow and we gain wisdom. And some leave us during that time frame. Some of them aren't meant to be with us forever, and they come and go. As we grow, our team grows. And so for me, my spiritual family and my spiritual team is made up of angels and power animals and totems and nature spirits and guides and teachers. Yeah, and there's a lot. Ascended masters. So then that's just the tip, right? And so that I just wanted to say that because I think that some of us in our community, we get a little lost in the what are they really? So I wanted to add that in there. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Ortrun to add her 2 cents into this. Who are the spiritual family?
Well, first of all, actually, it's part of what I've written for the magazine for July is Journey to Personal Freedom. And so in that, I actually talk about how we come down to this earth plane.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I feel that some people, well, or many of us probably, I'm going to say the majority of us, when we come down to this earth place in this incarnation, more than likely we really aren't even aware yet of our spirit family because the slate is wiped clean. The reason for this is because we're here to learn certain vibratory frequencies, and we've all chosen different vibratory frequencies to experience and express, to overcome, to come into balance with, and so that we can then give that gift actually to the planet, and also to pass it on up to the ones that are made up of our spirit family, because we're always the student and the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we come down, but when we have come down to this earth plane, we make that choice, and there's a plan made for us, and it's our spirit family that's with us. And I think many of the ones that you mentioned are present. I think that archangels, because I tend to have more of that angelic origin. I've spent more time in that realm than other places. Archangels and angels, and we also experience different dimensions. So we brought masters from different levels of awareness and consciousness on down with it. These are all experiences that we've had throughout the many, many expressions that we've had, and not necessarily even being here on this earth plane. plane, but just living in different places, allowing ourselves to proceed downward until we can live and function in the third dimensional realm. Because this is a realm that's much more solid, of course, than the other realms. So we need to bring ourselves down. But so that is one of the agreements was with your spirit family, that what is you're going to do here first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, it can be a variety of things. So consequently, we are guided in a sense. We don't know that we're guided, but we are, because we've made that soul commitment to experience the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we need to understand all of the different aspects of vibratory frequency in order for us to learn that it's all divine and it's all of God, and not have that sense of, oh, this is good and this is bad, even though we're in this reality, this duality, this reality of positive and negative. So, but yes, and I also mentioned that, okay, we step into this world, and okay, the memories erased of those many lifetimes, the experiences we had, in order for us to completely experience in this lifetime. We do bring our spirit family, our whole team with us. And, again, you already mentioned, and similarly to what you're saying, that is what I also feel. I feel what Carl's saying more about the divas and so on. They're also part of that, but they are now, they have more to do with the spirits that are handling nature. I see that as being the sacredness of the planet. And the sacredness of the planet, they're the ones that are working those particular levels. And they're giving us the beauty of all, the blades of grass and the flowers and the trees and the plants. And there are many levels of that. I mean, there are the nature spirits, there are the little fairies, and there are the gnomes. There's all kinds of dimensions within that also.
Yeah. Right.
So even within, when we say guides, there's this whole stream of levels. And again, as you mentioned, sometimes you have one that comes in, and that's saying that, sometimes friends are with you for a season, or for a reason, or for a season, or for a lifetime. That's really how it is with the spirit family. Depending on what you need to learn and acquire and your wisdom, you may have a certain guide come in. And I always laugh, because back when Carl and I were married, when we first came up to Grand Rapids, because we were just basically thrown into the metaphysical community. And I remember going to one of our spiritual teachers and visiting with them and so on. And so anyhow, she was doing this channeling, and so she said that Carl was going into the school of John the Beloved. And I thought, oh, well, that sounds really, really nice. And she said, and your guide is Gloria. I think, Gloria? I just thought it was so strange. I mean, that didn't seem so exciting. I don't even know a Gloria. So it didn't seem so exciting, but Gloria apparently carried some kind of a vibratory frequency or wisdom or knowledge, which I needed to have, at that particular point in my life. And so with people, I can understand this not recognizing that you're communicating.
Right.
Because looking back, I can see where I was communicating as a young child, but I didn't know it. I mean, I always felt protected, and I think I brought this about before, or talked about it before, as I would walk home. I would be 2:30 in the morning. I was walking home after babysitting, and I was always talking to someone, and I was carrying on this conversation. And at first I thought I'm just talking to myself to entertain myself. But more and more I realized that it was my guardian angel, and probably more than just one angel. It was probably my whole spirit family communicating with me and being around me.
Yeah.
And so the sooner that you can become aware of them, the easier life actually gets. Yes. Because you recognize that you're not alone anymore. You feel sometimes that you're here, and we really do. We come to that bottom, we sort of bottom out, and we feel that way just because of the learnings we're here to attain. Not everyone because it depends on the number of challenges and learnings you chose to go through in this lifetime.
Right.
So if you have many, many challenges and decide I'm going to jump five dimensions this time or whatever, you're going to have larger challenges.
That's right.
And so it can be very, very different for individuals. And that whole thing about it being your memory being wiped out. Yes, there are some that come in still with some of that. More and more, I don't think that that's occurring as much anymore now. I think more and more are coming in than what they were given in my lifetime, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So first, I remember, I'm saying this because I'm sort of spread all over what you're talking about, this engaging with spirit family.
Yes.
I remember also in our training, and we'd be sitting in meditation right at the beginning, and everyone, what did you experience? And everyone's, I saw this, and this person came to me, and nothing like that happened for me. I don't remember. Nothing happened. Well, I know there was something happening now, but I didn't realize it at the time because it can be so subtle.
Yes.
And that's what I'd like to impress upon individuals that are just starting on the path.
Mm-hmm.
It is so subtle that you don't even realize that you're being touched.
Right.
And these feelings that you might get, that those are all part of it, and that you dismiss maybe in meditation or that the colors that you might be seeing, you think it's no big deal. They're seeing all these big visual things, and also it depends on where you're coming from. You may be a visual, you may be the empath who doesn't really necessarily see all those things. They feel it. So there's so many different ways of experiencing spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some of the things that I learned over the years was that, like if you have a ringing in the ear, that's a way that some spirits are communicating with it. And they can still do it. They can do it throughout your whole lifetime. But early on, that may be a way that they're communicating with you is that way.
Mm-hmm.
And also I had learned that they very often, it's more the left side and into the back of your head, the skull area. That's really where that communication comes in. That's where the guides and masters seem to permeate their energy so that you can hear. But it mainly has to do with the whole ear area.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's another thought. But there are many ways. And then also if you allow spirit to be part of your life, it's amazing the things that show up for you. For instance, my son, they lost and that child is very much still a part of their life. And yes, many people say, the butterfly, that's my grandmother, or so on. That's one thing. You see something like that around because that's something they loved, but they'll see an A and a leaf. Alex is here with us, right? And where they're living right now, these trees spell like this and formed an A. So to them, that is a symbol of spirit showing itself.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all ways of recognizing that there is more here for us, and that they're overlighting you. It's just on and on.
If we can pause just for a moment, can you explain to us or give us a overlighting? Because there's some people who might be watching either live or in the recording, and this might be their first time out there, and they're wondering what is overlighting? What does that mean?
Okay, do you want to?
Yeah. Our spirit family is with us 24/7, at least much of it, not necessarily all of it all of the time. And when they are with us, they're with us. They are overlighting us. They are not only observing us, but they are looking for opportunities to be of assistance to us. And they are limited in terms of what they can do unless we ask. They really, really want us to ask because they don't want to do something that we're not ready for, that we don't want, okay? So you can communicate with them via your thoughts, and to empower your thoughts, add positive emotion. and you can communicate with them visually. And that's more than communicating with words.
Mm-hmm.
And when you communicate visually or verbally, what you want to express is the end result of what it is you want.
Mm-hmm.
Do not dwell on, because if you dwell on the problem, their interpretation is you want that problem. They'll empower the problem. Okay?
Yes.
Because they've never, most of them have never been physicists. So anyway,
Right.
focus only on the positive and the end result of what it is you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
In my spirit family, there are 30 beings that I'm aware of. And I find that most light workers have 21 or 22 angels. Ortrun from the angelic realm has 22. She has 21, I'm going to say regular angels, but all of the angels are a member of a family headed by an archangel. So her 22nd angel is the archangel of which she is still a family, even though she's in human form. Okay. We also, almost all of the time, we have a couple of guides from heaven. Now, they may be loved ones, but usually they're not. They are beings that are 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead of us in growth in consciousness.
Right.
And their job is to help us reach their level. And when we do, then they will leave. There may be a gap of a week or a month, and another one comes that's more advanced than they were.
Right.
Okay. Plus, we have most light workers are descended beings. That is, we did not evolve on the earth. We came from elsewhere. And wherever we came from, and the major steps coming down here, at higher aspects of our soul are still there.
Yes.
And if you trace it all of the way back, it leads you all the way to the universal creator. All souls are an aspect of the universal creator.
Right.
But so we have these higher souls, perhaps a Christed soul, a mighty I am at the 7th dimension, a monad at the 9th dimension, and whatever we were, at even higher levels than that. I find I can't communicate that well with the 9th and 10th aspect of my soul because the gap between us is too great.
Yeah.
Really communicate.
Right.
So, and also with my mighty I am presence in the 7th dimension.
Right.
Okay. Plus, we have master teachers and ascended master teachers. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Neshi.
No. I was saying thank you because, Carl, I think that you really helped us to understand the makeup or how our spiritual families, what comprises them. Right. It's more than just a couple. We may have our go-to ones that our mental mind, our conscious self has connected to and have become familiar with. But there's many more that are on our spiritual families that we may not even realize that they're there yet because of that communication, that they're there and they're helping us, but we might not be able to have a full communication with them yet because we're still evolving, we're still growing, right? And when our vibration, like you said, when we gain enough wisdom through our life lessons and learning our experiences, as we grow, we get to have more communication that is more complete. And we get to have deeper conversations with all of our committee or spiritual team because we're able to understand and bring in the information more in its entirety than just in little bits and pieces. Because half the time when you first start out, you're going, what? I don't get that. I don't get that at all. You have to explain it to me again or show me again, and that sort of thing. I just want to take a moment and say hello to a few people who are here that are with us. Stephanie is here. She's been helping us to share out the show. Thank you. Spreading the seeds of wisdom is what she's calling it. Star of Nations. Thank you, Stephanie. And Bo James is here. I don't know if you know Bo, but he's asking a question. He says, have you ever heard of someone called Jordan Maxwell? He has 50 years of research into religion and much more. I don't personally know of
No, I don't.
I
The
don't
name
either.
doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
I'd be interested in hearing what
Mhm.
what you know of him,
Right.
what he has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. And Rochelle is here saying hello. Hello, Rochelle.
Hi, Rochelle.
Rochelle.
And also Karen is here. Karen Phillips is here. She's,
Karen, good to see you too.
yeah. And so there's so many good things that you guys are saying in there. I'm going, yes, yes, yes. Is in our communication with our spiritual family. And yeah, I can kind of feel them sometimes, saying, yeah, that's right. Or they're perched ready because, okay, now she's going to ask. She's going to finally ask for help. And so, you can kind of feel them getting ready to, to say, yeah, here you go. Here's the next piece.
Mhm.
You know
But the
how
question-
reticent we often are to ask.
I know. We feel,
Okay.
sometimes I think we feel like
we don't.
that we don't want to bother
We're
them.
imposing. We're an imposition. But with the spirit realm, it's just the opposite. They when we ask, they start dancing. They start applauding. Yay, yay! They get so much joy out of helping us.
Yes.
And we play a role with them. We're their teacher
Yes.
because none of them, very few of them, have ever been in physical human form.
Right.
And by observing us, we are teaching them what it means to be human, physical, male, female. Okay.
Quality of it
And when we need help, when we ask, often it's
Yeah.
and people, they pray to God. Well, the ones that answer your prayers, your spirit family.
Mm-hmm.
Pray to your, talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then be open to receive. And what I find is the answer to prayer, spirit family, never comes away. It always comes in some unexpected manner. So I think when people say, well, they don't answer me, yes, they did, but not in the way you were looking for. So
Right.
you missed it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And I'm so glad you said that. I want to say hello to Tina. Tina's here as well. Hi there. Good.
Yeah.
Glad you're here, Tina. Now here's another one that crops up every once in a while, and that is when we perceive the answer or the answer to the prayer, right? And it comes in a way that we didn't expect it to come. And a lot of times we'll send it away. That's not mine. I'm still waiting for it to look like, this, and that's not mine. There's some people who get very upset with their spiritual family because they're not receiving what they thought they were going to receive. And so they become upset with them. And actually, they'll sit down and they say, I had a really stern talking to with my spiritual family, because they're I'm not getting what I asked for, kind of situation. And when I hear
They
that,
usually got something much better.
yes.
So
Yes.
the thing that we really always feel or say that if we have a request, we ask for something this or better,
Mhm.
or this or what is for my highest good, something to finish off in that direction, because that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because they actually, on a higher level, what it is that we're really seeking in the long run, or what would be best for us in the long run. So
Mhm.
they're guiding us that way when we're asking for answers. But yes, we think that, okay, this is what I want, so this is what I'm expecting to get. And if I don't get it, then I'm not being communicated with.
Right.
Yeah, Neshi, my experience is that because they're functioning at a higher vibration, they see a more complete and a much broader picture than we're capable of.
Right.
And answers that are I think many times beyond what we've even asked for.
Mhm.
And it's because it's for our highest good.
Mhm.
So be sensitive to that and be aware. Hey, it doesn't have to be exactly what you asked for. It can be something better.
Right.
And it can be even maybe take you in a slightly different direction.
Yes. Yes.
The moment in the events of the day, that we lose the perspective of the larger picture.
And sometimes
That's
the
right.
missed answers because they're not gotten right. You can ask for something and it may not come to you until all of a sudden you're in this relaxed place. Like I say simple thing like doing dishes and being mundane, and then the
Yes.
answer will pop into your consciousness. So we because we we're blocking it actually because we're too uptight about receiving something.
Trying to.
And then when we let go of that,
Mhm.
yes, and trying too hard. Right.
Well, sometimes it has to create a whole scenario involving other people.
Yeah.
And so they really can't answer it until everything, the stage is set. Then the answer can come. So it may take days, weeks, or even months.
Right.
Well, there are different ways, as I mentioned earlier, to a certain degree, of receiving messages. Dreams is a way, certainly, of receiving messages.
Yes.
And I remember one of the times having this dream, and I think I might have been at that time learning something about numerology because it was interesting because it made no sense to me. But then when I went into meditation and interpreted this dream, I could see all these numbers. It was actually leading me. It was when I translated those numbers, then the whole dream made sense. And it actually was a dream about higher ascension and ending up in a higher place of awareness and consciousness. But the thing is so it was these numbers that actually took me there. But I saw, oh my gosh, I might have seen I think some of my daughter's friends were in it, all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
But then once I really got into looking at it a little closer, I realized, wow, these numbers are all coming up here for me. Yeah. So you don't know quite how it's going to be represented. So much of it is the way that they're trying to also make it in such a way that you might understand it also. So, what is it that you are studying and what are you about right now? So, if you're an artist, they may end up, if you're close to them, I mean, they will actually help draw a picture, right? Or do a painting.
Right.
And that's the way that they're communicating with them.
Mhm.
You may not even be realizing it, but one of the main things I find with the guides and masters and all levels of it is the trusting.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that, right. I mean, when you're saying this is what I want, this is what I'm getting, so you're frustrated. You're not trusting that, and yourself into that space of, okay, I trust what you're going to be giving me.
And the other thing is, they may not give you a pat answer. They may simply open a door, giving you an opportunity for you to answer your own prayer.
Right.
But usually it requires something from us too.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what I was thinking and feeling when I was listening to Ortrun, is that we're the ones, we are the spirit having the physical experience. Our spiritual family is not. And so we can't, sometimes I think that we expect them to do the work for us. But they can't, because it's not their physical life, it's ours. And there's parts of it that we are the ones that have to do in the physical world. They can provide the opportunities, they can bring us the resources, but we're the ones that actually have to do the physical work of it.
You're bringing up another side here.
Yeah.
We have something that they don't have, and that's the physical body.
Right.
And if they want something in the physical world, because they don't have physical, they are extraordinarily limited doing it. They may ask us to do it. And please, I'm going to say frequently, preferably daily in your meditation, is there anything that I can do for you this day? I mean, this is not my body or my mind. It's my soul's body and mind.
Right.
And It's here for you to use.
Great. Now, I have to talk
Can I-
directly. I have to talk directly to our audience with this one. Guys, that was a nugget of wisdom right there, that what Carl just said. Did you feel it? That we're all, and we should be asking them for assistance, right? But how many of us have ever turned to them and say, "What can I do for you? What can I do in the physical world for you to have that experience?" Right? How many of us have done
Do you
that?
know? Do you know what their? I'm sorry. Do you know what their dream is?
When?
Their dream. They want to become one with us.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want us to become one with them. They
Mhm.
want us to be an extension of them.
Mhm.
They want to become an extension of us, so that we're working out of one consciousness,
Yeah.
one will, one energy, and a lot of it is their energy and their wisdom.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why when you are able to come to a space of that, again, it's through trust. It's through starting with the smaller, trusting, smaller items, and then the more that you relax into feeling comfortable with the spirit family, the
Mhm.
more that you then recognize that, hey, you're not alone. And
Mhm.
so the results that you get are, they may not be what you thought right at first, but it makes you so much happier
Yeah.
because you're realizing that I'm walking together. I'm not alone anymore. I can feel them around me now. I can feel that sense of peace around me. And those are some of the signs and symptoms of them being around, is feeling that love, peace, and joy, actually.
Right. Right.
Because that's when you're at one with them, you feel that, because that's what they're there for, is to help you sense that and know that, okay, you can accomplish this. Okay. You're on the right track, so when you're in a space of joy, you know that they're really around,
Yeah.
because that expansion of your energy is so broad and wide.
And I think what I get the feeling, Ortrun, what you're describing is how we nurture our relationship,
Mhm.
how we nurture getting closer to someone, right? We call that friendship or a relationship in the physical world, right?
Yes.
When it's the same when we're getting to know, or when we're getting to remember our spiritual family, because we already know them at soul level. We already know them. It's our conscious mind, our conscious
Well,
body
the more that
doesn't. Mhm.
we get to know them, the more, like you said, we communicate it in a different way.
Mhm.
Because what also happens then is that there's a sense of remembering that occurs within us. So it's so subtle that we don't even realize it's actually happening. But wherever those guides, masters were from, when you were coming down those dimensions, you're starting to remember those parts of you, which you had lost when that veil was dropped
Mhm.
for you.
Mhm.
So and then you're given, that's where you, and you are then channeling higher and higher levels of consciousness. I just,
Mhm.
the other night, someone said, "Oh, great," but I was talking with something, and she says, "I see this because I teach quite a bit about Egyptian temples and so on." She said, as I was talking about, she said, "I can see this guide, and they had these plumes, and I was actually their voice. That's what they saw. It was that I was using they were using my voice."
Yeah.
And that's what Carl was talking about also, is allowing them to use your voice. And when you feel comfortable enough with them, you
Yeah.
allow that to happen. It wasn't always like that for me either.
Yeah.
I was a little, oh, do I want someone to actually come
There's
in here and use my
the
voice?
thing again. Yes.
Yeah. If you can, if you're listening to this, if you can go back in memory to the time when you felt the deepest, most complete, intimate relationship with another person, all right? And that is what your spirit family would like to have with you too, only even just merging a total at one-ment with each other. so that your words, your actions, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions are theirs. And because you're so close, they can then express themselves more completely and fully through you. And to me, we would be creating on a personal, individual basis, heaven on earth. And as that we radiate out that energy, we're helping to change the collective consciousness of humanity and the entire energy environment of our home and our community.
And that's the goal.
That's
Mhm.
the goal.
The living
Right.
in the world. That's what it's about. So
I do have a
Any
question. I do have a question for the two of you. Is this week in my afternoon show, the Spiritual Roundtable, we had a discussion. I had drawn some cards, and it was really kind of a deep discussion because the cards that I had drawn really were showing us a pattern. It's a way to shift our consciousness in how we perceive our life lessons, right? Because generally speaking, when we talk about life lessons, we usually think of them as being challenging or difficult, painful, that they're, of course, life-changing. But we tend to think of them more of a burden than what they really are, right? And so what we were talking about was this consciousness shift, and bringing in, changing your perception about life lessons, because it's already been planned. We planned this even before we got here, right? And so my question is that when we are experiencing a life lesson, how can we bring our spiritual family in to assist us? What is kind of like a basic, tip that we can share with our audience? Because sometimes, when you're right in the middle of this dark night of the soul, you forget that you have assistance. You forget that you have tools and allies. And so I'm hoping that we can help people maybe take a look at their life lesson, maybe from a little bit different perspective.
Okay, in our experience, every challenge that comes into our life comes in for our learning, and it may also give us an opportunity to be of service. And the answer to your question, Neshi, is just so very simple and obvious, but as you say, we forget. And the answer is simply ask. You must ask. And if you ask, and part of that, if you're open to receive, you are no longer in that situation alone. And you have help that goes beyond human knowledge and capabilities.
Good one. Yeah, and I know that it seems simple. It seems simple is just to ask. But, when we're right in the midst of it, because I can feel it. I can feel it. People are asking, what do I ask for? What do I ask them for? Because sometimes they're not even in a good relationship with their spiritual family yet when they're going through this.
Just an easy way to do that is when you feel a tension building up within yourself, take a couple of deep, slow breaths and let that be a reminder to ask. At the same time, it will relax you and quiet your conscious mind so that your subconscious is open to receive.
Good one. Okay.
One of the things that helped me at one point was because your mind is so busy, way at the beginning, when you slow that mind down. There are still times it's like, but it's to get out of it much. But if there was some negative thought, because when you're going through a change, you may have negative, frustrated, is when you sense that negative activity in there. If nothing else, start affirming and give yourself a trigger word. And my trigger word at that time was love, and I would just repeat it so that whatever I was thinking in my mind or my brain, it would override that. And then that would open me up again more so to receiving, that guidance that was there, for me. Because yes, if we get blocked, it's really tough. The other thing I want to suggest, and we do this all the time, we suggest this to all of our clients, and I know many of you that have heard us speak, we've spoken about this before, is to make it a daily routine to call upon your masters and your guides and your spirit family to be with you right from the start.
Yes.
As you're waking up, to take a couple minutes, because you're in the alpha state, which is the meditative state. And that's the best time to meditate is at that point in time. So as you're waking up in the morning in the in-between state, start saying your affirmations and say, I greet this day with love in my heart, love for everyone, everything, and myself, most of all you, divine ones. And I ask that the spirit family be with me at this time, that we become that family, so that when you are going through those challenges during the day, you already are geared up to be in that space where you're going to be able to handle it better. And also the same thing at night, because you do lots of spiritual traveling through the night in your dreams. And so, again, ask them to be with you through the nighttime in your dream state, so that they will automatically be with you and guide you into places that are going to be more positive for you. Because if we don't do that, and we don't have a sense of protection around us, we've got so many things going through our brain. It's amazing. And they're not even ours.
Yeah.
So even, so yes, we're going through a challenge, but that challenge can bring in everyone else's challenge too, just because we can't separate it anymore. So if we ask that these spirit guides and family walk with us, it helps us to sort those out more easily and stay more in the now moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I do want to say one other thing about, I know there are many clients that'll ask, well, what's the name of my spirit guide?
Yeah.
And for Carl and I, it's not that important.
Right.
We really believe that the ones that are going to be coming to us are the ones that are meant to be with us at that time. And they can be changing all the time. Now, if it's necessary for you to know the name of your spirit family, we always suggest that you go into a space of meditation. And if there's someone that you feel you're speaking with, ask what is your name? And they will give you a name, more than likely. It might take a bit of time, because again, so much of it is how open are you to really receiving? Because, we can be our worst enemy, because we think we're asking and we think we're ready to receive, but we're really not. We're still blocking because we're not in a space of trusting yet. So see yourself again, relaxing into it and breathing through it and asking and then receiving that answer.
Yeah, I don't ask for their name, because their name will not mean anything to me.
Yeah. And
The person is important, but the name just identifies it. Okay. If you want information, the question I would ask, what level of consciousness are you coming from? Okay, because you want them coming from the highest levels of consciousness that you're able to receive, because they see the broadest picture and they have the greatest amount of wisdom.
Right. And you can even ask them, the one that you're addressing, you just ask them from what level of consciousness do you come from? You can even ask them, could you please give me a way that I know that it's you, whether it's seeing a color or feeling sensation in my physical body, something that I know that, oh, okay, they're here, because they're with us all the time. But it's our two-leggedness, our humanness, that we're trying to bring our understanding and literally wrap our mental mind around. And you're right, I agree. I don't ask for names, because chances are it's not something that we can even pronounce in our earth language. It's probably some sort or something like that. I remember feels like years and years and years ago, is because it was probably a couple decades ago. I remember I was in that in between that Ortrun is describing. It was at night. I was in between, and I said I wanted to meet my guide that helps me with my DNA work that I was doing at the time, and to please come to me because I'd like to meet with you and I'd like to get to know you. Who are you? And literally, I felt this kind of it was a male presence, and he said to me, he says, "Well, you can call me Brule." And actually, I saw the word more than I heard it, and I thought, "Oh, like the dessert."
What was that? What was the
He
word?
started laughing, and he says, "Or it could be one of your indigenous nations, what you call out west, and because there is a nation called Brule, right?" And then I had to laugh, and I said, "Well, at least we have a good sense of humor." But that was my first connection to him in a conscious way, because I was following a protocol, and they were saying that you'll be assigned a genetic engineer scientist in spirit to help you, and so I wanted to meet him or her. And so in those days, I was still thinking of them as gendered beings when they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
Tina's got something here that she's talking about. Tina says, Native spiritual men that are holy and medicine ones are very secretive of spiritual knowledge. That's why I speak it out what I know. I know what you mean, Tina. I do. I know exactly what you mean. Because that's basically kind of how I grew up. We weren't supposed to share anything with no one that was outside of our people, right? And and today it's rather different because so many Native people don't grow up in the culture, and if they do, they're kind of removed from it, and when you're talking about holy people, because my Misha, my grandfather, was a holy person, and there was a time, Tina, that it's like he was my grandfather. He was a loving being who loved me dearly, and we had many afternoons sitting outside, and he's sharing stuff with me, right? I had no clue at that time that he was literally teaching me. It was just stories he was telling me. And so when I realized that, because I didn't even know he was a holy man, not until I was in my 20s. And so, yeah, sometimes we take those things for granted. I thought it was normal. It was everybody does this, right? And that's not true. That's not true. So I know what you mean, Tina, and I'm sure that there's other Indigenous people across the world who have something very similar, right? And so it makes me happy. It makes me happy that you share what you know, and you share it in a good way because it comes from your heart. And
Yes.
yeah.
There are so many actually religions and philosophies that still they don't want to share anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
It says no, this should be shared with the world yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and much of it is being shared now by some individuals,
Mm-hmm.
but some would say you shouldn't be sharing what you're sharing right now, even, and from all of our walks of life, right? Because these are things that they're so precious. It's just like this one of the Buddhists and the Tibetan monks when they do the sand art, and they do the sand art, and you can only look at it for a couple moments, and it's certain levels of energy vibration that comes with that, and then it's gone after maybe 5 minutes, maybe it's an hour, whatever, but it's gone because you're not even allowed to look at it too long because they don't feel that you're ready for the strength of and the power that's involved in that.
Right.
And depending, so it's different levels, of course, of mandala. So, but also, like the religion, there are still the masses, and there's the masses that are only really willing to learn a little bit. And, and even like what Jesus, he said, don't throw your pearls to the swine. Right? I mean, what that means, want to share something so it's started on and made, and this, it's just not used properly. But there are so many more that are not open and ready to receive
Yes.
at a level of consciousness than what those particular times are that we're in at that particular time. So
Right. I agree. Well, we're at the top of the hour already. Didn't it go by fast? Oh my goodness. It was like we blinked and it was 8:00 or 9:00. And so what I'd like to do is maybe our to close out, last words. What would you like to share with our audience before we say goodnight? I think we'll start with Carl.
Your spirit family is the most positive, helpful influence that will likely be in many people's lives. Do not ignore them. Acknowledge them. Reach out to them. Ask for their help. Ask if you can help them. And do all in your power to become one with them. So it'll make you more complete as a person. It will allow you to flow through life, overcome challenges, learn lessons far easier, and allow you to give more service with using less of your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Come on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to agree, with Carl, that to become one with them, and as I said, trust, because for me it was a thing in trust, learning to trust, and the more and more that they will actually open up to you, and you will recognize that they are communicating with you, and you start sensing that, okay, when you just saw yourself as this dot at one point in time, now you can see that expansiveness of you are, because they're all there, assisting, and it's like you're walking arm in arm with your team,
Yes.
with your tribe.
Yes.
So that, if you can visualize that, even is that they're there and we're all arm in arm walking together through this, whatever it is you might be in.
Really are, and I'm one with them. They're one with me.
Right, and it just makes life so much better. It's again, with this article, I was actually not really the article, but with the book, I was starting to write a foreword, and not a foreword, but an introduction to the book, and I'm talking about the different stages. You go from survival to freedom to ultimate freedom, and the more that you start walking with them, the more you're going to be walking in that space of ultimate freedom, because then you recognize that you are not alone.
What are your comments, Neshi?
Well, I was thinking back to the early days when I became fully awake, that I'm not in this alone, and asking, who are you? Because I know you're here. I can feel you. Who are you? So my suggestion is to consciously begin nurturing that relationship. And you can treat it just like a friendship.
Yes.
You can treat it just like you would love to have a family be. It can be that way, because our physical family, our earthly family, maybe it's not as pleasant as you thought it could be, but your relationship to your spiritual family can be.
Yes.
Because they do love us, and you can even ask them, could you please show me how much I'm loved? Right?
Yes.
You'll be surprised in the feeling that gosh, it even makes me feel a little verklempt just when I said that, and what it feels like. If you've never experienced unconditional love, that's an experience that they can have with you.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's my 2 cents is to consciously nurture that relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that we have given the three of us tens of thousands of dollars of wisdom, and I hope that you all will spend it for us.
Yes. Yes. Go have a party with your spiritual family.
Yes, 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 yes.
And thank you to you both, really, for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us. We really do appreciate it. I look forward to our monthly show because there's always several pieces of those pearls of wisdom that that I cherish. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and thank you, Neshi, for everything you do for us.
It's our privilege. I'm glad that you facilitate this so that we have the opportunity.
And we learned lots from you also.
Yes,
So
yes.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And I wanted to thank everybody who's in the live chat with us tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. And those that will be watching this through the recorded version, thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend with us watching the recorded version. And with that, enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening, day, wherever you're at. And we'll see you again next month for Walking in Two Worlds, the last Thursday.
A happy July.
Oh, yeah. Happy July 4th for those in the States that celebrate that. Yes.
well, July 1st, Happy Independence for Canada. So.
And that's also Ortrun's birthday.
Right. So.
Can you believe
July 1st?
5 years old this year.
Oh.
I'm probably going to hear that I mentioned her age after we hang up, but anyway.
It's just a number. It's just a number. Right. So we'll see you back here next month for Walking in Two Worlds on the last Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.